They say we never truly appreciate the light until we're standing in the shadows. For 4.5 million years, the great golden eye in the sky has watched over us. It's more than just a star. It's a constant, a celestial furnace that forged every atom in our bones, the carbon in our breath, and the iron in our blood, and whispered the first breath of life into the primordial soup of our ancestors. It is the ultimate clock that never skips a beat, the silent conductor of every heartbeat, every blooming flower, and every rising tide on its blue marble. It has been our protector, our provider, and our most faithful companion in the lonely screaming reaches of space. It is the architect of our seasons and the painter of our dawns. But what if, just for a moment, the conductor walked off the stage? What if the clock simply stopped? If the sun decided to call it a day? If it truly exploded in a violent cosmic tantrum, you wouldn't know it. Not at first. You see, light is the fastest thing in the universe, but even the fastest runner needs time to cross the finish line. It's going a long, lonely journey to make a 93 million miles of cold, empty space. In the vast distance, light is a messenger carrying news from the past. When you look at the sun, you are not seeing it as it is now. You're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. The universe is built on this delay. We are always looking at the history of our stars, never their present. So, for 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the explosion, the world would remain paradise of ignorance, a brief, beautiful stay of execution. Think about that. For nearly 500 seconds, every human being on Earth would be living in a ghost world. The children would keep laughing, chasing shadows that, unbeknown to them, no longer have a source. The flowers would stay tilted toward the vacancy, reaching for a warmth that has already been extinguished at the source. In a stadium halfway across the world, thousands might be cheering for a home run, but in a glow of a star that is already dead. The internet would hum, the birds would sing, and lovers would plan for a tomorrow that already been cancelled by the laws of physics. In those minutes, you might sit on your porch, finishing your coffee, feeling the gentle kiss of the breeze. You'd be basking in the light that technically no longer exists. We'd be living in a memory. It is a final merciful secret kept by the laws of physics, a grace period granted by the sheer scale of the cosmos. 8 minutes of stolen time to say a prayer, to hold a hand, or to simply take one last deep breath of a world that is still warm. It is the universe's final act of kindness, letting us finish our day before the night becomes eternal. But the universe is a strict accountant. It doesn't allow for depth. It doesn't allow for delays. And eventually, the check comes due. The lights don't fade. They go out, like a candle in the hurricane. Imagine looking at your friend across the table, and in the blink of an eye, they are swallowed by a darkness so thick you can feel it against your skin. The moon rub of its borrowed reflection would vanish from the sky as if it were erased by a cosmic hand. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, they too would blink out one by one as the light echo of the explosion passes them by. In that instant, the really scatter that makes our sky blue ceases. The atmosphere becomes a transparent window to the void. And for the first time in human history, every person on Earth can see the Milky Way in its terrifying, unfiltered glory. We are no longer sheltered by the glare of our star. We are naked before the galaxy. Within minutes, the temperature begins its long, terminal crawl toward the basement of physics. The silence would be deafening, no birds singing, no crickets chirping, just the sound of 7 billion people simultaneously realizing that the day has become forever. But the darkness is only the beginning of our journey into the void. Next comes the drift. Gravity, much like light, travels at finite speed. Einstein taught us that the fabric of space ripples at the speed of light. For those same 8 minutes, we stay in the scientists call a ghost orbit, circling a mass that was no longer there. But when the news of the sun's disappearance finally reaches the fabric of space-time, the Earth is set free. Without the sun's heavy gravitational hand to hold us, we lose our grip on the dance. We would cease to be a planet and become a rogue planet, a lonely marble flung into the infinite, hungry dark at 60,000 miles per hour. We would no longer be part of a family. We would be a solitary wanderer, a ship without a shore, sailing into the great unknown with no destination and no hope of return. We are now a ghost ship, navigating by the light of the stars we will never reach. The atmosphere, once our shield and our blanket, would begin to betray us. Without the sun to keep the gases agitated and warm, the very air would begin to tire. Within 24 hours, the average global temperature would plummet to freezing. Within a week, it would be 60 degrees below zero. But the physics of the end are more poetic than just a simple chill. As the temperature drops, the Earth's chemistry begins to transform. First, the water vapor in the air would fall as a final global blizzard, burying the cities of a man in a tomb of silence. Crystal snow, then a carbon dioxide would turn to dry ice, coating the world in a white shroud. Eventually, it gets so cold, nearly 400 degrees below zero, that the nitrogen and oxygen we breathe would liquefy and fall from the sky as a ghostly blue rain. Soon after, the very air we once took for granted would freeze into a solid gas-like crust over the entire planet. Earth would become a crystal ball, a 12,000-kilometer wide diamond of ice preserved in the absolute zero of the void. Our skyscrapers would be encased in a frozen air, monuments to a species that once breathed the sky. The mighty oceans would be crossed over with ice miles thick, creating a tomb for a surface world. Yet, in an apocalyptic irony, that ice acts as a perfect insulator. It protects the depths from the biting, absolute cold of outer space, trapping the Earth's eternal heat within.